Am I in the mic right now? So, good afternoon, everyone. We are now joined with a very special guest. You have probably seen those cute penguin profile pictures on even on the KBW speakers, and you might be wondering what that is, whether you like the NFTs already or not. Today we have Luca Netz with us, who is leading the penguins, driving to become the most popular penguins in the world, also aiming to conquer the Web3's mass adoption phase via consumer crypto powered by community, culture, and distribution. Luca, absolutely welcome to Seoul.
I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I mean, I know you are not even in Asia so often. Is this your first time in Seoul?
I was here in Seoul last year, and I tend to do 4 to 5 weeks in Asia out of the year.
I mean, it must be very exciting for you to meet the regional sub-communities. I mean, you were in Malaysia, you're in Japan, now you're in Seoul. Maybe we can give some little shout out to the sub-community right now?
Yeah, we've got a pretty big community over in Asia. So I think one of the beauties of building brands like this and being able to accelerate is this idea that so many different people can participate and kind of grow their own community within the community. And so I don't think there isn't a major region within Asia in which we don't have some sort of presence there.
I mean, I know some of you are right now here. Can we get some round of applause for Luca right now? All right. All right, so before we do talk about penguins, I would like to shed some light on your early days so the audience here knows more about the context
Yep.
as you as a person. So you were a dropout in high school from 16, then you were a millionaire at 19. Maybe tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, I think the 60-second version, not to bore the people in the crowd, but I'm a high school dropout, made my first $1 million when I was 18 years old, monetized social influence and made my career doing that. I ended up building North America's fastest growing toy company in a business called Gel Blaster. We basically scaled that to $0 to $100 million in sales in 14 months. And then 2.5 years ago, we bought Pudgy Penguin. So for most people who don't know, I'm actually not the true founder and creator of the Penguin. I was one of the biggest holders, and I decided to look at the NFT landscape and say to myself, look, I think a bunch of people here are loving and falling in love with NFTs, but I felt like the way that they were building them was not the way that I thought they were supposed to be built. So instead of complaining, I put my money where my mouth is. We bought the business 2.5 years ago, and it's been a pretty wild ride ever since.
I mean, I do know that you realized you had this playbook in your marketing and toy business experiences, and maybe that became the context into your capability in Pudgy Penguins?
Yeah, it was actually funny because a majority of my career was actually spent with influencers and celebrities building brands around their likeness. And so most people don't really, look at maybe the Pudgy the same way that I do, but I look at the Pudgy Penguin as an influencer and celebrity, and how do you build that to be the most famous penguin around the world? And I think one of our short-term goals is how do we become crypto's mascot? I think when you look at the universal nature of the Pudgy Penguin, I think it's really well positioned to represent everyone from every different region around the world, regardless of your demographics or your psychographics or your different interests. I think the Pudgy Penguin is universal in the sense that it actually could be and soon will be the default crypto mascot around the world.
Yes, I'm sure it is already at some level, and you're probably gonna be making it the most popular penguins in the world. So I mean, even people would probably don't know that you are a CMO at Von Dutch. And I mean, I'm sure all the Korean community in here, they know what the brand is. And I personally didn't know a lot about your personal experience before Web3, so I just had to ask you. So in that context, before, I guess, little back in your history, you discovered Bitcoin and NFT while you were already cash king at Los Angeles.
Yep.
And maybe tell us a little more about it.
Yeah, I was mining Bitcoin and Ethereum in 2016. Always believed in the properties. I actually didn't even think I'd be building in this industry. I didn't know that it necessarily needed me, but I think we've kind of carved out a new future here. I think from my perspective, crypto's at a point now where I actually believe it as a marketing and branding problem. I actually think people like myself who specialize in branding and marketing, I think it's going to be people who understand branding and marketing more so than the researchers and the mathematicians, which I think have found huge success in crypto and will continue to find huge success. But I think a new era and a new paradigm is coming to the industry where people who understand branding and marketing and just universal adoption, I think are going to find, I think it's going to be our era these next 10 years.
I mean, that's really coming along in your project. I mean, you keep telling people that you are not the founder, but you actually made the project really great. And maybe tell us a little more about the early days in your Pudgy era. You acquired the project at $500,000, and maybe what people talked about. I know there were some people who didn't believe what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, so we bought Pudgy for $2.5 million about 2.5 years ago. I think the common consensus was, why is this guy buying an NFT project? He's overpaying. This thing is going to go nowhere. We don't need more NFTs. And in reality, I don't have that same type of pessimistic mindset. I actually looked at the NFT space and I thought to myself, well, look, the collectible business is a $500 billion market cap business, in physical and digital. About 1% of those collectibles are actual digital collectibles, yet digital collectibles have a slew of pros that physical collectibles do not. Digital collectibles have no inauthenticity issues, no spoofing issues, no friction when buying or selling, no insurance issues. And whether you agree, and obviously physicals have a couple pros that digitals don't, but I think we would all agree that the market cap between physical and digital shouldn't be 99% to 1. And so ultimately there's going to be a gap that closes. And so a lot of what inspired us is we actually believe that the couple businesses and the couple companies and brands that are going to be at the forefront at closing that gap are ultimately, I think, going to be businesses that are worth tens, if not 20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollars. And that, I think, was like the entrepreneurial opportunity. I think a lot of people were really short-sighted in the craze, but in totality, so much consumption around collectibles happens around the world. And I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that's only going to be increasing over time. But I also looked at what I thought was the traditional landscape today, which was, when we bought Pudgy, I didn't think people were actually building brands the way that they thought they were. They were making a ton of money. They were minting new collections. They were collecting royalties. But ultimately, that's not necessarily what I think these businesses are about. And so we unfortunately bought the business at the beginning of the bear market. So definitely, we got a lot of the hard things that come with building an NFT business without a lot of the easy things. But I think that's what made us strong and ultimately what brought us in the position that we're in today. Right now, I think we are the leading NFT project. If you look at it optimistically, if you look at it pessimistically, I think we're one of the leading NFT projects. And now it's really keen for us to just keep doubling down on the IP. For those who are not familiar, we're in 10,000 retail stores around the country or around the world. We're in every Walmart and Target in America. We've sold just over 1.5 million toys in under 12 months. We're clocking in 20 to 30 million views across social every single day. And we're really doing something that I think crypto's never seen before. And so, in our own respect, we're playing our own role in terms of pushing consumer adoption and being the face of consumer crypto. And that's the role I think NFTs are going to play here. I think ultimately, crypto is taboo, crypto is intimidating, but collecting is not. And that's something that I think everybody in this room understands, whether you're a crypto aficionado or not. People love collecting. In my case, people love cute. And I think we have a responsibility to bring crypto to the masses, leveraging those two properties.
Yes, that is really great. And that's probably exactly why I'm wearing this toy right now on stage as well. I want to shed light on selling toys, I would say. So you always mention that selling the goods on blockchain itself doesn't mean it is a Web3 business. And I believe that is linked to the fundamental value in the Punch Penguin community. You're not living behind the customers. They're not just simply paying the goods and leave your, just as a community.
Yeah, so I think the quote that you're referencing is, a lot of people think because they sell something on the blockchain that they're a Web3 business. But in reality, they're actually just a Web2 business selling digital products. Digital products are pretty familiar with most people. Everybody at some point here has purchased a digital product. just because it's on blockchain doesn't mean you're building a Web3 business. I actually think a Web3 business is a mindset in how you build. This idea that we are building something together as a group, as a community to achieve a greater good is what I think defines a Web3 business. A person coming into thinking they're coming into Web3 and deploying a mint on blockchain and making 20, 30, 40 million dollars, they're not building a Web3 business. They're building a Web2 business and leveraging blockchain rails to do that. And so I think there's a delineation. I think Web 2 and Web 3 is actually a mindset. It's not a technology. Building in Web 3 is this idea that you're a holder of an NFT and you are suggesting something and you have an aligned interest by holding this first edition that you can kind of factor in and contribute to the overarching vision of the brand. I think Web 2 and Web 3 I think is sometimes too much delineated by the technology when I actually think it's bigger than the technology. It's the mindset and the principle that your opinion is relevant and can have significant impact into the future of this brand. Rather in Web 2, your opinion doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to make money and continue to make money, and it's my business, and I'm going to run it as I choose. And that's ultimately why I think we've seen so much success compared to the rest. I mean, it's been a rough 2.5 years for NFTs. Most people have lost belief, but the people who've stayed true, I think, see the greater vision. And a lot of the people who I think have found at least some success in the recent years have been Pudgy holders. So kudos to them.
Right. That's really essence of what you're doing right now. And I believe that, the passion and the love we all have for an IP, I feel like that's not originally based on the technology itself. We've been around for I don't know how long years, and I believe technology is just there to support the fundamental value. Via Web3, we have the community, and you are constantly an inspirational figure to the community as well. And I believe the holders that came out here just to see you, all the way out here, you're always on the internet. You're at IRL. You were at the coffee events, at the little events, and holders are just so happy just to see you. And as a community members as well, they're contributing into your fundamental value of IP. And is there something, I guess, you get as a leader from the community?
I think obviously, I think the gratitude is both ways. I think they appreciate the effort that I put in. Obviously, I think I do everything physically possible to make sure that we are winning and that we are succeeding. But the respect is mutual, because to say that we have found the success that we found because of me or because of our team, I think is ultimately a wrong way of looking at it. The Pudgy Penguin community is the best community in crypto. For people who really are around in the crypto industry, most people would agree with that statement. I mean, we are everywhere. We are at every event. Everybody's always doing something and representing us in a public light. And I think when it comes from an NFT culture and an NFT user base, some of the most important figures in crypto are representing the Pudgy Penguin. Some of the best events and the best alpha comes from the Pudgy Penguin community, and that's not me who's doing that. That is people that that have fallen in love with the Penguin, that have fallen in love with the community, and it's at this point is really a self-fulfilling prophecy. I really believe that even if I wasn't around, that Pudgy Penguins would still see its success. I kind of when I bought it, I told some of the partners that I bought it with, I said, this Pudgy Penguin is going to succeed with or without us. I always believed it was the Doge of NFTs, so I think it would have its moment. But our job as a team is to really accelerate that process. So when you see us doing toys, when you see us doing content, when you see us doing games, I'm really just marketing the Penguin and making sure as many people see the Penguin as possible. And then ultimately, because of the way NFTs are structured, there's so little amount of tokens that eventually you get supply and demand and price appreciation and things work out in your favor. So I think that's kind of how we look at things.
Right. Also, as we're heading into the conclusion in about 5 minutes, to wrap it up a little early, this is going to last for some time as well. Community, culture, and distribution is the narrative in the consumer crypto that we all talk about at this conference in general as well. We already talked about the value of community, the culture, and distribution itself. We are always talking about the content, I mean, some of us are already looking at phone screens, you name it, even you're at IRL, meeting with you. So how would you say the consumer crypto, as a community culture distribution?
Yeah, I think crypto is now crossing a paradigm shift. I think for the last 10 years, we've been conditioned to really support and believe on these next breakthrough technological innovations. I can tell you as somebody who's in mass, who has blockchain in mass, who has hundreds of thousands of people using our blockchain products on a weekly basis, we have seen something that I think most haven't seen, which is I actually believe now the tech is really close to being there from an infrastructural perspective. So the next great infrastructure narrative, I think, is almost, I don't think it's the narrative that's going to stick moving forward, nor do I think it's going to be the place where the market rewards. I think the paradigm now will turn into who has the greatest community, who has the greatest user base, and who has the greatest distribution channels. Now you see this in Web 2 tech. I think LLMs are a perfect example. Claude is just as good now as ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is still the winner. Why? Because they have the user base, they have the brand, and they have the distribution. Blockchains are coming to the same point. Every L2, when you look under the hood, does pretty much the same thing with maybe a 5 to 10% degree of separation. Same thing with most of the L1s. If you look under the hood, as long as the L1 works, they pretty much all relatively do the same thing and function the same. The difference between a Solana and maybe another L1 is Solana has so much community, so much culture, so many builders that the products and the experience is just exponentially better. And the users are there, right? The liquidity is there. The competition in the game now between the businesses and the projects that win in crypto versus the ones that lose are going to be the ones that have the community, culture, and distribution. No longer do I think people are going to fall for this new breakthrough tech innovation because I think we're pretty much there. I believe the paradigm will now shift into a market that now rewards the group that has the best marketing, the best community, and ultimately that will attract builders because builders want product market fit above all else.
Right. So maybe that's why you're building on L2 now.
Yeah. So I think it comes down to maybe the next thing for those of you who are not familiar. Pudgy Penguins actually bought an L2 called Frame, who's led by an amazing developer named Saigar. Our idea there was, we have all of the users, we have the community, we have the people that are actually wanting to build within our ecosystem. Why go build and bring our user base and that culture to another L2 when in reality I think we have the most important part that makes an ecosystem thrive. And so we've been building that for the last 2.5 years in terms of that culture and that user base. But now I think the next chapter for us in terms of really blowing this thing out of the water, I kind of almost look at our journey as a pressure cooker. For the last 2.5 years, we've been proving ourselves, showing the world just how amazing, our community and our ability to execute in terms of breaking through in a mass. And now with the L2, which is abstract, we're really going to take a huge swing at bat here and try to do something that's never been done before, which is really break consumer crypto in a mass in a really interesting and unique way, which is going to be shown here shortly.
Right. I mean, I know that there are already so many applications being submitted to become part of your ecosystem already. Maybe you can give us some alpha. What you see, what you're excited about.
We have 200 builders building applications in abstract today. We're building an ecosystem predicated around fun. So I think a lot of problems with blockchains today is I think there's general purpose. And if you actually understand the lift of building a general purpose blockchain, there's probably 3 or 4 teams in crypto that have the resources and actual talent to execute on something like that. I think what we want to do is we want to optimize for consumer applications that are predicated around fun and fun only. And once I have millions of people in our digital amusement park and in the most fun place in crypto, which is going to be this abstract portal, which will debut here shortly, then we can upsell them on savings and DeFi and all the amazing different categories that I think crypto can offer. But I think we really have to, as an industry, have to start taking a more chronological and focused approach. I think most builders, at least in the blockchain world today, are super fragmented in how they build. Everybody tries to do 100 different things. In reality, we need users and we need to break through to consumers, and we need to do that now. And I think the first way to do that is going to be predicated around fun. So stay tuned to see what we build over at Abstract. And I think in a couple months' time, you guys are going to be having the most fun you've ever had in crypto and within the ecosystem.
Right. We have to maybe wrap it up, and maybe you can attend other Pudgy events. There are so many left, I believe. And to wrap it up and give us a little more culture alpha. I mean, I know you love the Japanese culture businesses, as you mentioned, pretty often. Maybe something you see in Korea. In terms of a collaboration effort.
Well, we have a partnership with Lotte. So for those who are not familiar, Pudgy Penguins has a strategic partnership with Lotte, and we are working on some pretty amazing things. So hopefully you guys will see us in a lot of stores and different places throughout Korea specifically and Seoul specifically here in the coming months. I know we're working on some special things.
Right. That's it for today. I know you will have a wonderful rest of your time in Korea, and thank you so much, Luca.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.